Good afternoon, and welcome to another reprehensible episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your repellent and repugnant host, Voice of Doom. Hello. I'm back after being gone for a bit. And I'm wearing a new hat now for a while, because my old one's getting a little long in the tooth. And no bumper music, because my Kindle is not connected to the internet right now for some reason. I've had internet problems for the last week, and it's been annoying, because it's not my fault for a change. So when it's not my fault, I get annoyed. I did a diatribe which hasn't been posted yet, but it might be posted before this one or after. But I did kind of a confessional about my F-ups and my life in general, of me being a self-sabotaging idiot. And I don't have to be, because the universe has been very good giving me chances, and I've blown it every time. So I'll have that posted in due time. It's hard right now with this whatever you call that device, modem business, going in and out. AT&T is kind of getting old. Might have to move on to something different. But I don't want to repeat what I said in the last diatribe about Pelosi. Did a little thing about her speech, but it wasn't very good. What I wanted to talk about is just what's happened in the last couple of days and a week. And I was playing golf with my buddies, and video golf. My right-wing friend says, I'm not watching the World Cup, and he's a big sports fiend. Likes to bet on it, likes to watch it. And soccer is probably the most boring sport ever invented. I've never watched a full game from beginning to end, and I've tried, so don't think I haven't tried. But watching these guys kick the ball back and forth, is just boring. Once in a while they do something clever, do a good play, or the ball accidentally sneaks into the net and everybody cheers, and then they burn the stadium down. But I've never liked soccer. I'd rather watch curling. I'd rather watch billiards, or something of that nature. So I wasn't too worried about me making a political statement about the World Cup, because I could really give two craps. Now, I will say I was in LA in the year 1900, and I believe around 90, 91, 92. I don't remember the exact year. I was living in West LA. So it was around the early 90s. They had a World Cup that the U.S. hosted, and it came down to between Mexico and Brazil or some such like that. A couple of countries, and Brazil won. And LA went absolutely bananas, because there was quite a few Brazilians in LA, especially in West LA. And they were really into the World Cup. Well, I could give two rips about it, but then my buddy goes, I'm not watching it, because 37,000 people died building it. And I said something about slave labor, which I heard offhand about these stadiums from Qatar. And then I just let it go. Not really that interested. I mean, I'm interested, but I'm not going to watch it anyway, so I don't support that. I watch Redacted almost every day. I watch quite a bit of it because they give me a lot of good news on current subjects, and they do not toe the line with the media at all. And so I go to them, and this Clayton Morris guy was talking about the scores and this and that, and talking about the World Cup as if it should be something that everybody should be watching, and I was aghast. And they'll never watch this to find out why. And even if I write to them in a comment, they won't read it, because my comments never get read by anyone ever. I was aghast because I realized that they were just treating this sports event as if it was any other sports event, and it's not, and I'll tell you why. I wrote down notes this time. Now, they began building the stadiums for the World Cup back in 2013, the Qataris. And they are basically a Sharia law, Islamic, I guess Arab type country. Very rich with oil, very rich. It's a tourist spot for the very, very, very wealthy. And I decided to check into this business. Now it's 2013. There were reports of Nepalese migrants being abused. Basically being used as slave labor because their pay was delayed or denied, because they didn't want them to get paid, because the minute they get paid they were going to leave. So they kept them pretty much hostage as slave laborers. They confiscated passports, refused ID cards, so they would always be illegal. They would always be beholden to the construction companies of the stadiums. Denied water in the desert heat, making it hard for them to even work. Now, 37,000 people did not die building those stadiums. 6,500 people died. Now, 37,000 were injured, which when you're building 8 stadiums, which are huge, you're going to get 37,000 injuries. That just goes without saying. But 6,500 people died. Now 40 or so died directly due to their working in the structures. But the rest of the 6,500 died from adjacent causes that were caused by their predicament of being slaves. Okay? It's modern slavery, free and simple, clear and simple. I looked up the stadiums just to see what I was looking at. I thought there was one, there's 8. And these stadiums are state of the art. They are extremely intricate architectural masterpieces. I don't know how they are structurally. They're probably made of crepe paper. But they look really fancy. They look really good. And they're all in Qatar. And the people in the audiences are all what we used to call tent heads. This was back during the terrorist days of the 80s, when you were free to insult anyone about anything. And they were called tent heads. And there was a lot of them in the audience watching the games. And I realized that this fossil fuel business made a few of these people very, very wealthy. And they could afford to build their own stadiums to watch the FIFA World Cup. And I found it disgusting. Since the beginning of the games, there's been a dust-up about LGBT, QRST, UBU, and nothing bad happened. There have been no American journalists arrested in Qatar, but they've been harassed, and I'm sure many of them will deliberately flaunt what Qataris say is against their country's laws, and they will flaunt it just to say, hey, you can't do that. So we'll see what happens with that, but probably just an aside. Now, when I was doing my research, I saw an article that came in just today on Fox, on YouTube, and it seems that there was a coach, some sort, U.S. men's soccer coach, was wearing a Nike shirt that said States on it. Just States. And for a minute there, I thought that the Foxers were going to say, yeah, good for him, because this whole thing is a farce and we shouldn't even be there. But then I found out that they were against it, and they thought wearing a shirt that says just States on it was disrespectful because they never seen anything like it. And it should say United States, and it should have a flag and an eagle, and it should have a "Don't Tread on Me," and it should have an eagle clutching a prisoner of war on his jacket. Now, I was thinking that it was fine to wear that shirt. I didn't even know why the U.S. would be participating in such a thing. But when it comes to sports, you throw out your politics. You throw out all your ideology, you throw out your values, because it's sports. And we must support sports. And the World Cup is a glowing example of world cooperation, where the Qataris tried to bribe the Ecuadorians with $7 million to throw the match, where 6,500 people died, where they used slave labor to build the stadiums. Doesn't matter. Sports is sacrosanct. Sports is above all that. You could have football teams where they're not getting paid, and they're getting injured with concussions right and left because they're not being allowed to wear any equipment or protection. And since it's sports, it's quite all right. So America's got to get it together there, because the right and left are both off base with that. I say get rid of organized sports. It's going to go away anyway. I told my buddy it was going to go away. It went away. And it's going to go away again for good. It's a big waste of time. It's a big diversion. It's something to keep the common rabble occupied with trivial matters. Yeah, this went longer than I thought. I can't get into my other stuff. Goppers to the border. Okay. They're not wasting any time, and I like what they're doing now. Just a little observation that whenever something actually gets done, somebody actually does something, the other side will always say it's a political stunt. So any action is a stunt. Sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard is a stunt. Going down to the border to check it out for yourself to see what's happening is a political stunt. And I'm sick of that word. If I hear the word political stunt one more time from many of these government politicos, I'm going to get angry, and I'll do stuff with my mind, bring them down. But this political stunt was, Mayakas, your days are numbered. You have exactly 2 months to think about your next job, because you are going to be gone. And that was a very good thing to say, because it's a mess down there, and people are going to really start getting hurt. Now, going down to the border, he said he's going to have hearings on the border. Now, I don't know how you transfer the congressional hearings that are supposed to take place inside the Capitol building and say we're all going down to El Paso for this hearing. I guess they can do it. And I guess since McCarthy is going to be the next dictator, he will set his rules that he wants to set. And the rules will be, we're all going down to El Paso. Now the D's will say, no, we're not going. So it'll be kind of like the January 6th hearing in reverse. You'll have nothing but Republicans going down for the hearing, and then the Democrats will say, well, this is a political stunt, so we're not going. And then after that, we'll say that we weren't included in the hearings and we weren't given a fair chance. So you watch that happen. It'll be 2 months from now, and we may be a smoldering pit by then, because I told you scorched earth is on the way. There's less than 2 months before the Goppers take over the Congress, and I say they're going to do something, scorch the earth. It's already being scorched. People are getting killed right and left. Shootings, killings, stabbings. I'm going to go into that in another one. And the Ukraine business is becoming messier and messier because we're finding out that the Ukrainians are not the angels of mercy and the victims that we make them out to be, because they're killing people in cold blood. They're committing war crimes, and they're lobbing bombs and blaming somebody else and trying to start a big brouhaha. And they're corrupt to the bone. I don't care how many actors or comedians run the place. Absolutely corrupt to the core. Selling off the arms that we send them, that we pay for and send to them, they're selling to somebody else. Already a proven fact, so don't even argue. So I'll get into that later. I just wanted to get that off my chest about this World Cup business. And don't watch it, don't report it, don't pay any attention to it. And shun everybody that played in it. When the team gets back, have them exiled to Antarctica. Alright, I'll leave it there. This is a pretty decent one. Thanks, everybody.